Ciao Bianconeri of Toronto. We are Bianconeri YYZ. We are gathering today to right after the great victory by Juventus, where we edged out Lazio 2-1 in Turin, thanks to Ronaldo Brace, who first leapfrogs Ciro Immobile in a duel. Who, however, Immobile was quick to catch up immediately after on a penalty, thanks to a little blunder by Bonucci, assisted by Szczesny. Now, Juventus just need to take home 4 points from the next 4 games in order to secure their 9th Scudetto in a row. And that would be, of course, our 38th sul campo, as we say, on the field. So I'd like to first off recognize our very, very packed audience today. I'm going to go first with the first timers, with our virgin participants. Mino's laughing because I don't know if there's anything virgin left. But anyway, Mino, Coppola, thanks for joining us. I love you to death. I'm so happy you on.
Good to be here. I finally made it. Thank you.
I would like to also recognize Ed, Eduardo, who's great, who's been a friend of the club for a long, long time, and a long time game watching buddy. I'd like to welcome back Silvana after taking a little sabbatical there. It's okay, we'll forgive you. We love you. We'll welcome you back, open arms. Of course, we have Vishnu back. Thanks for coming back, man. Love to have you back. Ali, who took a little secondment as well. James, Tito, Ramin, Dan Chiappetta, and Dan Di Chico, and of course, our magical host, Ivan Groh. Thank you very much, everybody. Everyone's super excited, a lot of smiling faces. We were finally able to break the 3-game winless streak. And magically, we have 13 people on the call right now. Also, I didn't mention Mohammed because he didn't have his video on, but he's on us. He's on the call through audio and coming in from Quebec, I think, somewhere in Quebec. I want to say Montreal area, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome to you too. Welcome all. All right, so I'm gonna go right into the game. Lazio was very cagey. Juve was doing some pretty good quick passing, but in the first half we weren't really able to get the game going, to break the ice, to break the deadlock. So anything on the first half, and before we get into the actual events, what did you guys make of that starting lineup? I mean, geez, we had, everyone was slated on having Cuadrado start up top, and instead what we got was Higuain surprisingly in for Dybala. That was announced 1 hour before the match. And Ramsey and Rabiot next to Bentancur. No Pjanic, surprises all around. Surprises all around right there. So, and instead, right before the game, of course, Higuain injures himself in the warm-up. Maybe he sneezed the wrong way, pulled his back. I don't know what happened. But anyway, Silvana's smiling ear to ear because her man, Dybala, made the starting lineup anyway, and it was a good one because he got involved in an assist. Yes. and made quite a mess as well in front of the net in a good way. So, Silvana, you know what? I mentioned your name. Why don't you go ahead? What did you think of the starting lineup, and maybe a little bit on the first half?
Well, it was nice to see Douglas Costa start, even though he didn't really create a lot, but he was running. He was doing what he does. I think Sarri was trying to try something different because what he's been doing is not working. So he wanted to start with somebody else. So Douglas Costa made sense because when he comes in, he creates. He's fast. The first half, it was nice to see that Juventus was dominating, and it looked like, they have the fire under their ass. They're like, okay, you know what? We've lost, and then we drew 2. We got to do something now. We got to win. We got to have the winning mentality. And And I like Rabiot, actually. I'm really liking him. I think he's coming along. He seems to be growing in his confidence because he is playing more. So that's what happens when you play a player. They have their confidence. They have just like Dybala. Like Dybala was not being played, and then his confidence was down. He didn't do well. So yeah, and then so the first half I found was a little bit not as much action as the second half, but it was nice to see them actually dominating the game finally.
Yeah.
And a big team, not a little team, a big team. So that was great.
Yeah. Bang on. And yeah, absolutely. Lazio is one of the teams that, of course, had been
up their ass since the beginning. Sorry, excuse
exactly. A great team. And you're right. They weren't, however, it must be said, in great shape, and they did have quite a few players missing. So it was absolutely important for us. The important thing is, and fact of the matter is, as you said, was to gain 3 points. You did mention, when a player gets played, it's important that that you give them that opportunity and get that confidence up. And speaking of players, I'm gonna call on Mino, who's distracted on his phone right now. I don't know what's going on. So Mino, I want to give you the floor because you're a dear friend, and it's your first time in a while. So how's it going, buddy? What'd you make of any first half, starting lineup? Any kind of what'd you feel about that?
Yeah, thanks. Thank you. I'm glad I'm here. First half, been a strange season after the season reopened, and the first half for me was just another indication of how football doesn't seem to be. I don't know. It doesn't seem to flow the way it once did. But there was a different will today in the team. They kept possession well in the first half. Alexandro hit the woodwork. Ramsey fanned on a shot. Well, it didn't fan on it. He connected it, but the defender blocked it. So we had our opportunity. We controlled the ball. Bentancur seemed to be settled. Rabiot was doing what he needed to do. I still wasn't highly impressed with the fullback position on either side. Cuadrado does the best he can, but Sandro's just not living up to the expectations I would have for someone like him. But overall, the team, seemed to have an attitude for the 3 points. And then the second half, they really imposed will. And well, we won't get into it. You didn't ask about the second half, but
don't ruin the show, man. Don't ruin.
Yeah. I felt they did enough to easily, have a lead at the end of the half, but they certainly didn't do much to lose or be at a disadvantage. So it's okay. I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
And Silvana, I disagree. I think, Silvana, you made a point that we played a big side today. I would respectfully disagree and said we beat a broken side today of a big team.
You're right.
There were too many people missing there, and I thought we should have done more.
Yes, yeah, because they came from a draw and 3 losses. Yeah, so you're correct.
Yeah, but
they're supposed to be a bigger team, but yeah.
Silvana made a lot of astute observations leading up to that, and I can tell she's been studying.
I've been doing my studying.
There you go. Beautiful. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. So I'm going to go to Vishnu next, then Mohammed, then James. Impressions about the first half and starting lineups. Try to keep it at about 30 seconds apiece. Go ahead, Vishnu. Please unmute yourself. Unmute.
Yeah. So in terms of the lineup, it's nice to see Ramsey and Costa get a rare start. So I think a lot of people are curious to see how they both will be doing starting from the first minute. And as we both know, they're both usually utilized as a second half specialist. So it's good to see something different, every once in a while. And also in terms of the lineup, a couple of days ago we heard injury problems with our defenders, and so we heard about Rugani might start. And I know it's sad to say, but I'm really glad Rugani was not in the starting lineup. We also put in, as somebody else already mentioned, a good amount of speed and energy with Costa and Cuadrado in the lineup. And the first half an hour, we see a very energized and high tempo Juventus. And with Rabiot as well, he's been a truly different person in my opinion compared to a while ago. So I'm overall satisfied with the lineup. And the first half hour was very entertaining. Sexy one touch passing all over the place, and then like after a half hour we kind of like dipped a bit. We probably lost a bit of energy, and it probably takes quite some endurance and stamina to play the way Sarri likes it. But that's my take on the first half, I think.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna go to I said Mohammed, then James. Go ahead, Mo. What'd you make of the game, man? What'd you make of the lineup? I know you had you participated in video of your usual El Tactical breakdown with Pepe. So and you had a predicted starting lineup right there.
Yes.
How did you react to the changes, and were they foreseen?
I was surprised to see Ramsey starting. I wasn't surprised of Douglas Costa because it was between him and Cuadrado up front. Their left side was their weakest point because it's their third or fourth choice. So I knew that Sarri would push a lot on that flank. But I was really happy to see the style of play. I liked it even more than the second half. You could see like the fast passing between them, the link up and all that. There was still one thing missing, is the final pass to get scoring chances. That's still missing.
Yeah,
But
I
other
agree.
than that, it was a good half.
No, yeah, 100%. 100%. So I'm gonna go to James then Edo. Guys, what'd you make of that, James? First half, starting lineup.
To a lot of people's points already, I think I was surprised but happy to see Ramsey in the lineup. I want to give him more time because maybe he'll come to form as Rabiot seemingly is. I'm liking him more every game. On the first half, like you said, Rocco, super cagey, and I was happy with being at zeros at the half because I didn't know what to expect, or I guess which team would show up. So good to get the 3 points. I think the main thing for me was to see the fire still in Ronaldo with all the news of the Ballon d'Or being canceled, and but a huge milestone for him today and a big 3 points for the boys.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and a good news piece there about the Ballon d'Or. Ronaldo is always looking to win something, whether it's team trophies, which I think he prioritized, as he said in today's post-game interview, or individual, right? So when there's something less to compete for, something less to win, maybe you're right. That might have taken the wind out of his sails a little bit. Edo, come in on anything that we've been talking about so far. Please unmute yourself. Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. So initially when I saw the starting lineup, I thought I was a little bit surprised about seeing Ramsey in there. Douglas Costa, a little bit surprised as well. I guess I've seen him as more of a super sub to kind of raise the tempo at the end of a game, maybe the last 20 minutes. As for Rabiot has been really good lately in the midfield. Probably, I mean, Bentancur has been good. Rabiot has been very stable, but he's obviously come out of the quarantine in a lot better shape, a lot more focused, determined to make an impact. Higuain out, that was kind of interesting, the last moment. Wasn't sure what to think of that, but it looked like whatever happened at Dybala, the same problem jumped over to Higuain, and then they had to make a switch. But the guys seemed a lot more energetic today. Seeing the last few performances, I didn't know what to expect of this team. And touching on a lot of people's points here, the consistency in the lineup hasn't been there. So it's hard for guys to even build their own type of consistency as well when they're not necessarily getting that game time, playing with the same guys, getting the chemistry. And I think overall over the last few years, that's been our biggest issue. So hopefully going forward we can make those adjustments and have more consistency in our lineup. But overall today we looked a lot more energetic and ready to win the Scudetto.
Thank you. I just want to actually segue with what you just said right there about whether we were more energetic or seemed more energetic or not. And I want to have Vito come in on that. Whether we seemed more energetic or whether we were, or whether it was the competition we were playing. And after that, I'm going to go to Ramin, and then we're gonna finish this round on wrap up the round on this. Go ahead. I'm going to mute myself.
Did you say Vito or Mino?
Vito, a te.
So I thought the first half was really flat. Basically like we've been playing the past 5-6 weeks. I thought Rabiot was fantastic. Him and Dybala, in my opinion, were the best two on the field. But again, starting Costa, in my opinion, you know my thoughts on him. I think he's better suited on the bench. He's had numerous starts for Bayern Munich, Juve, and he never pans out as a starter. He's a super sub.
We've established that. I think most of the Juve fan base will agree.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's a waste of a starting spot. I heard Man City's making an offer of 45 million. I hope to God, so he can make way.
Okay. I'm gonna interrupt. Okay, actually, I'm gonna let you finish. But I saw Ramin shake his head. He's gonna come in on Costa there because it sounds like he disagreed. Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Again, I feel that not having a striker, because Ronaldo and Dybala are not strikers, Dybala has to come back and play that creative role where we're still missing that link-up play for the forwards, where if Dybala doesn't create, pretty much we're screwed because Ronaldo doesn't make any runs anymore, and again, Costa's useless and Bernardeschi's useless. So it's basically, if Dybala doesn't have a good game, every game, we're pretty much shooting ourselves in the foot, let's be honest. But it was much better.
Cool.
A very tired Lazio team. They were exhausted.
Yeah.
Like Mino was saying also, they were absolutely exhausted.
No, I agree. All right, so I saw Ramin before shake his head. I'm gonna let him come in. In the meantime, Edo, please mute yourself. And if you're not speaking, mute yourselves, guys, please. Thanks. Go ahead, Ramin.
Yeah, I was shaking my head about Rabiot because I think you guys have missed it. Both Rabiot and Ronaldo took out the man bun and started playing well. So that's the secret. You guys missed it totally. I mean, that flowing hair, he shoots, he crosses, he dribbles. Anyway.
Yeah, I think you're partial though. I think it's a biased comment.
But is Ronaldo actually playing well?
Yeah, he's playing well. He's just not receiving. He's not getting the ball.
Yeah.
Well, that's an ongoing story since he's cut. Let's be honest.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say well.
But you're right, because today he missed two big sitters. The header and the other one before the header. I think it was. Header was the last one, and before that. So yeah, he's missed a few. I agree. The lineup to me wasn't really much of a surprise. Probably Higuain did injure himself, or maybe between the Argentines they had an understanding. So I don't know what's going on.
You know,
But,
sometimes. Go ahead. Finish your thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah, but I think overall we played well. We put them under pressure. I think at the start they were expecting us to come out strong, so they were sitting back. They weren't really playing their flowing. And let's not forget, it's damn hot over there.
Yeah.
They're not used to play in the height of summer. They're not used to play in July. And they're not used to play so many games so close to each other.
Right.
So I think that is taking definitely a toll on the body. So
I appreciate that. No, thank you for that, Ramin. I'm gonna go to Dan Chiappetta. I see him, and then Daniel. So you go Dan, and then Ali and Anthony, who joined us midstream. So that's great. I love it. We got 14 people on right now. let's keep rocking. All right, Dan and Chiappetta first. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? It was a good first half. I mean, it was probably one of the better ones we've had in the last, I don't know, say 2-3 weeks. Everybody talks about they had more energy. They had, they played better. I mean, look at the lineup, and that's probably one of the main reasons why. Yeah, maybe Costa's not playing his best soccer. Ramsey, I forgot he was even on the team, to be totally honest with you. But you bring some of these fresh guys in, and it helps the team. So I mean, I thought they played well. I like the formation or the lineup that he chose, and we got the win. That's all that matters. Doesn't matter who played. Doesn't matter how they played. We got 3 points. 3 points closer to a nice Scudetto in a row. So you know what? I'm happy. I'm taking the win, and I'm going to celebrate.
Vincere non è importante, è l'unica cosa che conta. Daniel Di Cicco.
Right.
So first, I just want to say, salutate la capolista. And I just, very similar to what Mohammed said, how we were overloading the left side. I noticed the very start of the game, first half, a lot of our play was coming up the right wing through Ramsey, Costa. Dybala kept switching into that side. We were completely overloading there. I thought there was a lot of good buildup on that side. Obviously, no conversion into goals, but there was over 60% possession in the first half. So I really think we played fairly well considering. Again, we've said in the past few weeks, we've been playing kind of lower tiered or lesser teams when we've won. Today is kind of another one of those scenarios where we are playing a strong team, but they're literally at their wits' end. So they look tired every game that they played in the past 2 weeks. But we're that much closer, 3 points closer to winning that Scudetto, which everyone is happy about. What else is there to say? I think in the first half we played fairly well considering the past 2 weeks and our lackluster performances in the past few games. So not much else I can say about that. I think it can get better from here, especially if we get one more win. It looks like our buddy Rocco is frozen right now.
Yeah, well, I guess I'll chime in before and wait till he comes back. So I think we had Ali next, correct? And then Anthony to wrap that up, and we'll wait for Rocco to come back in, see if he'll load back up again.
Hi everyone, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we're good. We can hear you loud and clear, bud.
Okay, perfect. All right. First and foremost, nice seeing the new faces. I'm going to be the devil's advocate and say I was not that impressed by the first half. In terms of the starting lineup, Sarri is still trying to, figure out what he needs and what he must do. It was nice to see Ramsey and Rabiot play. Rabiot is getting his form on, but they're very similar players. Like I always have been venting, we needed that creative midfielder to be present alongside them. Bentancur is just blowing my mind. He reminds me of a young Marquisio. He's growing to be such a great Juventus player, and he is our future. In terms of the lineup, as I mentioned, we are still trying to figure things out. Alexandro, he defensively he's doing horrible. At the same time, in terms of attack, he's doing great. It's clear that we need more wingers. Now, in terms of Costa starting, my favorite starting three with what we have at this point is Higuain in the middle, Ronaldo on the left, and Dybala on the right. But if we don't have that, then the front three that we started with, I think, is the best. I know he is a super sub, but we need to dictate the tempo, and he's someone we could do that with. Bernardeschi is just not doing great. And but again, why didn't I think it was a good performance? It was because it's all pass, no end result. Like we don't get to the final point. There's no passes at the end that make a difference. And again, and to talk about Ronaldo, you guys know how I feel about him. He is just something else. He's out of the world for me. Yes, he had 2 chances that he missed. And it's also we have to take into consideration he hit the post. He was very tough on himself. We need that kind of mentality. And yeah, that's what I think of the first half. And De Ligt. Oh, De Ligt is just meshing in so great with the team. That's my thoughts on the first half and the starting lineup.
All right, thanks so much. Thank you guys for coping with my nth network issue. This time was a network issue, not a computer issue. So, and you guys were just able to get on without me. So perfect. I love it. Anthony, come on in on what we've been talking about so far, which is starting lineup and first half impressions.
Yeah. So, hey everybody. So yeah. So starting lineup, I was surprised. Dybala initially was left out, but it ended up being fate that Higuain had to have a last-minute injury because I don't think we would have won that game otherwise. Because Dybala was easily man of the match for me.
Hot take.
Yeah, best player on the field. I was also impressed with Rabiot. I thought Ronaldo played really well. I thought Costa played well until he came off, and yeah, I think those, and obviously De Ligt solid, and yeah, so I think those were the key players there for us. But yeah, normally I would have. I mean, I agree. I think Costa is better off the bench, but I don't think he can handle the frequency of the games. I don't think he can handle even 90 minutes a week. On a normal schedule of playing once a week, doing 90 minutes. So
yeah,
with the game close together like they are, I think off the bench, we don't want to burn them out before the Champions League. So I think it was the right call.
You're 100% right. I mean, we already have a much tighter schedule than usual. When are these players ever going to play, right? And I mean, we need them all, but we also need them to be able to sustain enough minutes that they can, that makes sense, right? So we need, we're also lucky that we can avail ourselves of 5 substitutions over the course of the match, which is a good thing, right? And I think what Sarri thought about was, well, look, we have a lot of fragile players. This is the perfect opportunity to give the fragile players a little extra, this opportunity to start. Why? Because we had 5 days rest. So you have enough time, okay, that they're as good as they're ever going to be. So, I was pleasantly surprised with Ramsey and with Rabiot. I think both of them were probably together had the best performance that I've seen. I saw a lot of slide tackles by Ramsey, and he got in there like a dirty shirt, and I love that. So I think we completed the round. I don't think I'm forgetting anybody. I think Ivan, of course. How could I forget Ivan? Ivan, go ahead, buddy, and then we're gonna move on.
Yeah. So quickly. This is today's lineup. To me, is indicative of Sarri's Napoli days, meaning that only certain players can play his style, and it's very limiting. We know that Ramsey's fitness has been, 50-50, and Rabiot's had a hard time fitting into the system. But I think today it was Sarri being, okay, you guys are making us think about my style of play and my game. I'm going to put in the players that actually know to play my style, the game that, the Sarriball, in order to control it. And they did, because let's face it, Matuidi, love the guy, 2 left feet, he can't impose that. Pjanic is just, he's checked out. So, and to me, Bentancur is more suited for that role in the back. And I found that the pace that Rabiot and Ramsey had and their skill match what Sarri's game plan is, right? And you saw it. They can maintain possession more than, no offense, even to Pjanic and Matuidi. They're way better. So you saw the quickness, you saw and Costa as well. You saw the pace. So I think that was his game plan. He was banking on Rabiot having a very strong game because let's face it, in the contrast, there's only one player usually that contrasts in that midfield, and it's Bentancur, and then sometimes Bernardeschi. but you're not going to get that from anyone else. Like Pjanic doesn't contract, so when he does, you're worried he's going to have a red card. No offense to Pjanic, right?
Yeah.
So
He doesn't.
possession-wise,
He doesn't do it well.
sorry.
He doesn't do it well.
No. So, and there's a rumor that Dybala wasn't playing because of his back, a back injury, and that he picked up yesterday. So I'm not sure if it was mind games by Sarri to say he's playing and he's not playing him. Who knows? Maybe gamesmanship, but it would have been ludicrous if he was thinking of not playing Dybala, in my opinion. He's by far been our best player in the last 5 games. It's not even close. Next to De Ligt, right?
Yeah.
And then Tech. I'm gonna give an honorable mention to Tech. That save on SMS's free kick was absolutely outrageous. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, I like that. I think he was perfect today. I think though that he and Bonucci were accomplices in the lead up to that to the penalty, to the foul for the penalty. I think Szczesny could have come out a little bit sooner. I would have expected him, but that's no one's perfect. Bentancur, you mentioned something about the midfield. I think he was pretty good today. He stepped it up, but I think whenever you end up playing Regista, it's hard for you to really, for Bentancur especially, but anyone really, to really step up and make it look shiny and make it look great and make it look good. You often end up, in front of the defense, so you're committing a lot of fouls, or you make a mistake, it can often lead to a goal. And he did commit the error that led to the Immobile post in the first half. So there's that too. But I'm just gonna take the floor and give you some quick stats about Cristiano Ronaldo. Cristiano Ronaldo scored his 30th goal in Serie A. In fact, he played, from what I'm reading here, only 30 games this year. I guess he skipped a few. 42 games the entire season, scored 34 goals and 7 assists. And of course, is the fastest player in Serie A to reach 50, meaning he scored 50 goals in the fewer games than anyone else. And the first player in history to score at least 50 goals in the Premiership, Liga, and Serie A. So there's some quick fire stats on Ronaldo. I think that overall we had some better play. I wanted you guys to come in on, do you guys think we had our gameplay improved today? Did you see? I saw some pretty smooth, quick passing in the first half. Actually, our attendance, possession decreased quite a bit in the second half. In fact, Lazio ended up winning most of it, believe it or not, by the time the game was done. But I want you guys to come in on good play, on whether we played well or not, and what did you guys think of the penalties? Do you think both penalties were yes, no? Were they iffy? So I'm going to start again right from the top. I'm going to go with Mino's is going to leave us, by the way. So thanks, Mino, for participating. I'm going to start with Silvana. What did you think of those penalties? And I think you mentioned a little bit about the gameplay already. Unmute yourself. I know you don't want. I know you don't hear this often, but please unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, please. Oh.
I have to unmute myself, sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Like I said, I'm not a fan of penalties, really. But I mean, penalty, I found it iffy. I did. Both penalties I found iffy. But if we're going to win a game with a penalty, why not, right? But I don't like penalties. That's how I stand on those things. I don't find it's a way to win or lose. I don't know. That's just my thing. That's all I got to say.
Okay, cool. I'm going to go to Vishnu. What'd you make of the penalties and anything on second half play in general? And I guess before I introduce the subject, I should say Of course, remind everyone the penalty that took place right at the beginning of the second half after 0-0 first half performance. Of course, there was a bunch of shots, just a mess in the Lazio goal on the Lazio end, and then the final shot was Ronaldo on that. The shot ended up on no, sorry, I think it was Bastos's arm. And of course, you know, a penalty was given. Initially, a free kick was given. They reviewed it in VAR. Turns out to be inside. And then Luis Felipe from Lazio on the 1-0 completely gets stripped by Dybala, and of course he takes the ball up and just, you know, basically gives a gift of an assist with a bow on it to Ronaldo, who just, you know, schoolboy stuff, just needs to slot it in easily. So what did you make of a little bit on the second half play, and were both those penalties according to you, Vishnu?
So I think the first penalty was the penalty that Ronaldo scored. I think that's justified because I think this season referees calling the penalties consistently. I don't know if it's fair. I think probably it's going to be reviewed next season, like in terms of there's too many handballs situation where, you know, referees they just need to like apply it consistently at least until the end of the season. Otherwise, it'd be unfair, right? But I think so. I think that part is justified. And in terms of the penalty by Bonucci's error, I just wanted to point it out. I know people have already said this, but I mean, he's such a bad defender. He's good at ball playing. I think he made one long pass to Dybala in the second half where it was neatly done. And yeah, I just think we need to accept that if Bonucci is on the pitch, you know, sooner or later he's gonna make mistakes, and you know, he really needs to get back to making more of those long passes so that his position in the starting 11 can be justified, I think.
Interesting take. I like that. I actually want to pick up on that and go to Mo, who's next on the speakers list. What did you? It seemed like to me like both of those penalties honestly were not to be discussed. I mean, they were fairly evident. The second one I didn't quite catch, but I find the reaction of the Juve players, there wasn't much to discuss. But what did you make of Bonucci? Bonucci's performance as a play. What's up with him? What's going on? I'm gonna mute you.
He never was a leader. He always lost his temper. He lost his cool. You know, he's always he doesn't like think before acting. He just acts, and that's not a good captain. You need someone who's calm, who can motivate the team, who can bring them together and all that. He's not that type of personality. So I'm still puzzled why he is the captain. But yeah, both penalties are correct. There's no discussion about that, especially with the new rule for the handball. So I don't see any issues there. What I like the most about the second half, and it's an unpopular opinion, is Sarri putting Rugani in.
Ooh, okay. You gotta explain yourself. Explain yourself.
I'll explain. This shows that he's maturing tactically. He pulled an Allegri. He knows that the Juventus form was dipping. There was a big chance of Lazio equalizing. So he knew he had to do like an Allegri move and put 3 defenders in the back.
Okay, so I'm gonna come in on that right there, just because this is. I'm not debating you on that. To be honest, I was like, just someone's got to explain to me why he took Dybala off to put on Rugani. Of course, there's a lot of background on that, and the fact of the matter is, and that's what I want. Something that Ivan brought up is the fact that Dybala had suffered from a back injury or some kind of a back problem, a disturbance. You know, it's a situational thing. But that said, I picked up something that he said in the post-game conference, which I followed, the post-game presser. And he said, he said, well, what did you make of the 5-man defense that I put on after by calling on Rugani for Dybala? And he said it was a choice relative to this game only. We changed nothing tactically. And he talked a little bit about why he had to change Douglas Costa and Ramsey because they weren't physically fit. But he said towards the end, I saw that Bonucci had some cramps, and I wanted to put in Rugani to counter Lazio's physicality. Okay, so with that new information, Mohammed, unpack that, maybe some of your thinking that may give a little bit more credence to what you were trying to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, so if you see Lazio, what they did is they put all their youngsters. They wanted to put a lot of energy. They saw that after they scored the penalty, they had the momentum. They could score again. So finally, Sarri was able to read that and counter it by putting Rugani to stop it. And if you see, once Rugani was in, Lazio couldn't do anything anymore because everyone was at the back and you only had a few players going up front. We lost like the offense, forget it. Like there was no way we could score another goal, but we were a wall behind. And I think that was a smart move.
Cool.
And
all right. So
I don't think it's because Dybala's injured. He was really upset that he left.
Yeah, he wasn't too happy. I think I'm yet to see a soccer player who's happy with being substituted. But that said, I actually want to open up the discussion a little bit, switch it up. It seems like those subjects there are pretty dead in the water. So I want to open it up, maybe spice things up a little bit, and give the rest of the field here on the speakers list. I got James, Edo, Vito, and the rest lining up. So prepare your comments. I want to talk about defense. I want to talk about our defense. I think maybe I'm wrong, but our defensive phase, I saw improvement today. You know, I saw us go up 1, I saw us go up 2, and then I said, look out. It was 50-some third minute going up, and I was like, okay, something's going to come up, something's going to happen. So, you know, what did you guys make? What did you make of that, of our defensive phase? Is this more solid than it was in the past? So I'm gonna call on, I said James and then Edo. Go ahead, James.
I mean, I don't know. I think, I don't know. It's tough to say. I got a lot of mixed feelings on this. I have confidence, and then they shatter it. And then, you know, we do have a bit of depth, but only so much. But, you know, I'm trying to look back, you know, at years past, and did we have this much depth? I don't know. Like, I agree, a lot of players aren't living up to their full potential. But I'm not too worried about it. I'm eager for the changing of the guard, and I'm just hopeful that Chiellini comes back healthy to keep just to pass that knowledge on. I mean, maybe he's just as valuable on the bench at this point as he is on the pitch. Some could argue, but yeah, I think Rugani's had his time. Sandro hasn't lived up to what I thought he might. De Ligt is looking better and better, and I had my doubts with him so much with handballs and everything that's come with him earlier this year.
Yeah.
I think, you know, a lot of injuries, and it is maybe that weird in between time where we're seeing like the fall of the defensive empire and seeing who might be the ones to pick it up. I can't wait for Demiral to come back. I feel like we could have 3 of him back there. We'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, totally. The guy's a stud. Ed, come in on the defensive phase, on anything we're talking about, the penalties and the gameplay so far in general. Your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So the defense today, I thought was a lot better. We have obviously been brutal over the last few games. We've been leaking goals. There were stats that were put out for how many goals that we've been conceding over the last few years in comparison to this year, and already we've passed that mark with 4 games to go. I think, that has obviously a lot to do with our health and, our fitness. Everybody's gotten injured. We lost Chiellini right at the beginning. We lost Demiral. So losing Chiellini right away, you're losing a leader out there. And I just don't think Bonucci is that number one guy. I think that De Ligt has shown an incredible amount of maturity. He's obviously going to be the go-to. So it's going to be interesting to see him barking orders at Bonucci in a year or two if Bonucci can, even hold his place. As for Chiellini, as much as I'd love to see him out there and everything that he brings to the team in terms of the, that grinta and, just that cohesiveness and that leadership, he is broken. So I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to last. The game has gotten a lot faster. Teams are a lot younger. We're seeing Atalanta, who is just scoring left, right, and center. They're a young team. And I think we're going to have that midfield to support the defense, but a young, mature defense that isn't so injured, obviously. And then we have to address, last thing, we have to address our fullback position next year for sure. So.
Absolutely. I know this subject interests Vito very much, and he's got a lot to say on it. So, Vito, why don't you come in on the defense, on our defensive phase? Did you see some improvement today, and anything else you want to say about that?
Yeah, like I said previously, I think De Ligt and Bonucci are having a better understanding. Thing you really need to understand, in my opinion, Bonucci's one of a kind in the whole world, actually, because a defender like him that can play out of the back and have that elegance, he's worth tons of money that every team in the whole wide world would want a Bonucci. The thing we're not understanding is you can't compare a De Ligt or a Chiellini or a Demiral to Bonucci because they're two totally different breeds, two totally different positions, two totally different players. So, a lot of defenders on the ball, there's not many like him. His job is to defend, yes, but in hindsight, they set him up to play with stoppers, old school stoppers, which we spoke about last time. So it's easier for him to play out of the back. So when he defends, yes, he gets exposed because if you play a smart striker, they're going to lean towards Bonucci and not go to De Ligt because De Ligt will chew up a player. Rather, Bonucci obviously won't. So that's, my take on that. We've had that discussion previously. But, and back to his leadership, let's be honest. Obviously, he left Juve and we're not, we all have a sour taste about him. Yes, granted. We don't know what type of leader he is, obviously, but he must be somewhat of a leader if he's the captain of the national team. He's the captain of Juve after leaving and coming back. So he's well respected. I guess players listen to him or else he wouldn't be the captain. Let's be honest. It would be someone else. So we don't know what goes back in the scenes, behind the scenes, but it seems like Sarri said at the beginning of the year when they gave him the captaincy, they said he's a fantastic captain, right? But again, we don't know. Bonucci and Chiellini have been glorified cheerleaders. You see Buffon on the sidelines. It's like, Jesus Christ, buddy. It's like you're 5 years old. I laugh every time I see him. I die. I laugh every time I see him. I die. But yeah, that's my the fullbacks. My take. We need 4, not 2, 4 fullbacks. So yeah, that's
we started the season with too few of them, like maybe 2 or 3 of them that were true fullbacks, and had to adapt Cuadrado. Absolutely, and even at that, we need to rejuvenate there. We need to weed out some midfielders. I mean, we'll talk about Mercato, I think, in the coming episodes of this little show, if you will. But I want to go to Ramin, then the Dans, and just on what we're talking about now, and then after, towards the end, if you want to talk a little bit about what the rest of the season is going to look like, I'd like you guys to oblige, and then we're going to have to wrap it up. Go ahead, Ramin, on anything we've been.
As far as today's, well, go back to the penalties. I think both penalties were looked somewhat dubious, but with the VAR assist, then it was becoming obvious that there are penalties, and they were given correctly. Bonucci and Szczesny did conspire to organize the penalty because Szczesny was late coming out, and Bonucci thought he had to do whatever he could against Immobile. Anyway, as far as defense is concerned, Bonucci, I don't think is a leader. He doesn't have that presence. He never did it before. When you look at Chiellini, Chiellini pretty much got the baton from Buffon while Buffon was still there, before he had left, whereas Bonucci didn't really step up, and then he left for Milan. Buffon did not leave on his own volition. He was kind of forced out of the door, whereas Bonucci left because he wanted to, and then he came back because he had to. He couldn't deal with Milan at the time. So yes, we do need solid leaders in defense. I think De Ligt could become that, but probably in a couple of years' time. He still needs some experience, because sometimes I see him make a rash tackle. But fortunately, it's outside the box and it doesn't lead to a penalty or anything. But he does read the game well, which a leader needs to, in order to then tell the others what to do. I think Bonucci probably will be out by either next or the season after that. As far as the games are concerned, I'm hoping that we're going to win them. We should, by all accounts, but we'll know. But I think we've got the Scudetto in the bag.
4 points remaining to be made in 4 remaining games is what we need to do in order to mathematically secure that. And that's assuming that all the other teams, or that the chasers rather, are going to win all of their games, which again is unlikely. So we're very much looking in the driver's seat for a 9th consecutive Scudetto, boys. That's really good. So I'm going to go to Dan Chiappetta first, then Di Chico, and Ali, Anthony, and Ivan. And then I'm going to take the floor for 2 minutes with everyone's indulgence to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when it comes to defense, De Ligt, we have nothing to worry about. That kid is turning into a star, and within the next probably 2 or 3 years, he's going to be probably the best defender in the world, and I really truly believe that. Bonucci, he tries. You know what? I've watched that guy play for years now, and when he had Barzali, when he had Chiellini, he never looked at him. He never looked at a place. He played well, but he also had 2 studs, on either side of him. Now that he's quote unquote the main guy back there, he is being exposed. I mean, okay, yeah, he has that nice long ball that comes out of the back, like he did today with the Bala. But other than that, I mean, his defense is so lacking, and I don't know if he's playing hurt, or his confidence is down. But I really, I gotta be. I think he's gone within the next year or two. Like Ramin said, once Demrock comes back, I mean, we're gonna be just fine. So we hit the Mercato when we need to for some help back there, and we're gonna be good.
His man marking brings up some questions at times. You're right, and everyone feels better once they take a Demerol. All right, so Di Chico, go ahead, brother.
So I'm just gonna basically echo a lot of what James said, kind of a changing of the guard, so to speak. How we have, our stalwart Chiellini, who's basically on his last limbs in defense, provide leadership for the young up and comers of De Ligt, who's already proving himself to be worth every penny of the transfer fee, and Demiral, if he recovers as well as we hope for him to. The next couple of years are going to be amazing in defense. We need to work on our fullback situation, obviously, struggling a little bit there. When you can obviously see that Cuadrado who's a makeshift back, is our best performer of the season so far in that position. So we need to do a little bit of work on the fullbacks. I think with the two center backs, you can't survive a whole season with just Bonucci as a third option. So we might have to reinforce there because Rugani, I don't know what happened to him, but he seems to be riding the pine. So he might be on his way out. If he wants to play, I'm sure he'll be on his way out. We have to remember that the defense always starts from the attacking phase backwards usually. So I think we defended a lot better today through the midfield, which allowed our defense to come in and clean up any mess. So I want to give a shout out obviously to the midfield, Rabiot. Like Ramin said, I did notice that actually in the game. I said, hey, he hasn't had his hair pegged back in a while, and he's been playing phenomenally. So I actually had that thought while I was watching. So that's kind of funny that you mentioned it here, because same with Ronaldo. He's been on fire ever since he got his hair cut with the low fade and the top poof of curls. So nice. We're looking good, and it's promising for the next few games. Again, we just need to win one and a point. So we're pretty solid there. I think happy to say we might secure the 9th Scudetto.
Hey, Ali, do you think we're going to do it by Sunday? So it's 2 games. The next one's on Thursday against Udinese and then Sunday against Sampdoria. Do you think so we went from, Saturday, or, we weren't feeling so hot. We were like worried about Sassuolo still, what happened last game. And then there comes Sunday and we go 7 days out. We could be champions mathematically. Go ahead.
You know what? Anything could happen with both with the teams that are running in the race and Juventus. So in terms of the penalties, I think based on the rules and regulations we have in Serie A, they were penalties, and even referees fear giving Juventus penalties because of this whole, conspiracy that's going around. And they had to wait for VAR to bring it to their attention. And based on the rules and regulations, if you've given a free kick while the free kick is happening, if VAR reviews and sees something, they could, pay at that point, let the referee know, and they could go review it. And that's what exactly happened. Now, as far as the defense goes, first and foremost, the reason why Bonucci is a captain, in my opinion, is because of politics. The guy is weak. He's fading. He is good at distributing the ball, but in terms of defense, he's not there. And he's been showing this in the last couple of matches. The reason why he's captain, as I mentioned, in my opinion, is because of politics. I mean, the guy left us, and he got emotional. He left, and he realized that if he wants more silverware, he better come back. He came back, and just as a motivational boost, given that Chiellini and everything, once he was out, they gave it to him. Otherwise, if you're looking at people who are actually, going around and screaming at players, motivating players, getting tough on themselves, Ronaldo should be, but that would never happen because of the fact that he just recently came. And Dybala is an introvert. And other than that, I think we need to work on our wing backs. Quadrado is doing good, but the fact that he's doing good, it shows a bit that it's concerning. We should have people who are world-renowned starters, and I can't wait for Demiral to come back. And last point, all the players that we have in terms of defense, except from Chiellini, are true right center backs. I think it's time for us to open our eyes when it comes to left center backs. Thank you.
Interesting take. I'm sure Paratici and Co are working on that, because the generational turnover is still happening. Chiellini and Bonucci will be out soon, and De Ligt and Demiral aren't enough. And as we know, as everyone has said so far, Rugani, the ultimate failure, the ultimate fact that he failed at Juventus was when Sarri decided to put in an injured Chiellini instead of a perfectly healthy Rugani against Sassuolo last game. So we're gonna wrap it up with Anthony, Ivan, and then we're gonna do 3 small but very entertaining, very fun things that I'm gonna go on a bit of a soliloquy. Well, hopefully not a soliloquy, but just a monologue. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. So a lot of good opinions, guys. That's great. Yeah. So I agree with a lot of you. I think I was really. I think that the one of the biggest things that has been very noticeable difference is just having Rabiot there instead of Matuidi. You could see just how much more easily Rabiot and Ronaldo link up together. When it's Matuidi, he's just running around like a headless chicken. Like he's just all over the place, two left feet, and it's such a difference when you actually have a capable midfielder there that can actually move the ball and pass and link up with players. So that's I think that's been key for this since we returned from the break. I think that's a big factor. I think going forward, I think I think they'll wrap up this Scudetto by Sunday. I really do. I think that they're gonna get the 2 wins and it won't be an issue. I think we've shown that against the smaller teams, we can beat those teams no problem. It's usually the teams that are a little bit stronger that give us more problems. Lazio, they would have been one I would have been worried about. They beat us every other occasion this season, but they've been totally fatigued, and that was noticeable as well. So I think that worked out in our favor this time. And as far as the penalties go, I think both in the past maybe might not have, well, the handball the handballs this year alone, that's just a whole other story. That needs to be addressed. But
at least they were called consistently, right?
Yeah.
At least they were called consistently.
At least they were called consistently. I think this season, those were both penalties. I think the one that Lazio got, I think was just a boneheaded move by Bonucci, and even Szczesny was, he could have come out a lot sooner. What are you gonna do? But yeah, and the pressure from Immobile there, that give credit to him too. He didn't give up on that play. So yeah, that's kind of my takeaways in the game. I think we'll wrap up this by Sunday, no question.
Yeah. Great, good news. Thank you very much for your vote of confidence. I feel good, especially when it comes from such a mind that I prize so much and that I value so much. Now, speaking of a mind that I don't value at all, Ivan. Hi, Ivan. Please wrap it up for us.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. So regarding the D, I'd be very wary of getting rid of Romero in the offseason, which is what the rumor is, in order to offload Fora plus Valenza. Reason being is if Rugani leaves, at least you're left with a set, because Chiellini's got 1 more year left of him, right? He's not going to be starting next year. You're probably going to have a cycle between De Ligt, Bonucci, Chiellini, and I would keep Romero. To be honest with you, Rugani's at the door. You guys saw my joke in the Facebook group about what's the worst gun to have in self-defense, and it's a Rugani. Sorry guys, that's I know it's a terrible joke, but that's my joke. Rocco's rolling his eyes. Pellegrini is not to be touched. The reason why Sandro is not playing well is he's absolutely overrun, guys. He's got kilometers beyond kilometers on him. He just came back from an injury as well. So, I'm going to be easy on Sandro, but he does need to practice his crossing skills in the offseason. Cuadrado, as we said, is a makeshift defender. I don't understand the hate that Cuadrado gets. He's from a tactical and skill-wise, he can touch the ball, give and go, he controls it. His inept ability to win fouls is absolutely the most underrated thing of Cuadrado. He draws fouls like there's no tomorrow. In the last 5 minutes, I think he drew 4. And it was all on his side. Yeah. He drew those fouls. That is indicative.
Remember, sorry? You're holding a play. You're wasting 30 seconds every time, right? It's great. If you're up and you're defending a goal, you're defending a tiny lead, you're right. It's absolutely key. And he gets a lot of flack because of his defensive abilities, right?
And he's the best right midfielder.
regardless of the fact
Also.
is he can hold the ball. His shielding technique, his shielding of the ball is second to none, and he holds it and he draws the foul, and that to me is so invaluable for control, for resetting of the play, for everything, and just it's demoralizing for the other team because he does it so well, right? And he draws the foul.
Yeah.
Other than that, with Bonucci, guys, Juve is an old school organization, of course, and they go with seniority. They don't, yeah, they don't stray away from that. That is their style. That is their history, and that's the way. And there's a certain profile that they have for their captains. Be it as may, he may be controversial, but Bonucci is. I see it. He's respected on the team. He's made amends. He's actually gone on record in saying that Allegri is one of the best managers he's ever played for. Right? He has made that statement. So there was amends made there. Some fans don't want to. Even myself, I'll still reference him to a serpente, but snake. But at the end of the day, I think he gets the job done, and his tackle near the end of the game, it was also key. He's bad at marking guys, but that tackle where he actually stuck out his left foot in order to make, I think it was near the end of the game. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. There's one ball where he there was a slide tackle and he kicked it away. That was crucial. So he doesn't have the pace, but he still has the timing. And in Sarriball, he's neutralized, I think, with his ability from the back. That's it.
And you mentioned that last time. So now in the last 2 minutes, I want you guys to just bear with me. I want to do 3 small things, but all super fun. So the first thing I want to show is a little thing that Ivan has prepared for us, which is a graphic about a man who I personally loved at Juventus, both as a player and as a coach. And unfortunately, he's made a bit of a spectacle of himself yesterday in the post-match of Roma-Inter, which ended in a 2-2 draw. And the only reason why Roma did not win that game is because Spinazzola missed the ball and kicked Moses right in the shin, or right in the patella. So he was a great coach. Of course, I'm talking about Antonio Conte. Go ahead, Ivan. There you go. Ciccio Bello piange sempre. Ciccio Bello always cries. And there he is with the face that he made. Actually, that face there was from when Juventus lost to Fiorentina 4-2 back in 12-13. That season there, came back from 2-1 to lose 4-2 that match. But he's made a spectacle of himself. He was crying about the schedule that Inter had and said how it was unfair, and how Inter always was playing away from home, and games that started at 9:45 and they got home at 4 a.m. and as opposed to getting home at 3 a.m. if they started sooner, and it's hot, and as if they're the only team that plays in the heat or plays late. So to be honest, it was really truly pathetic. So you can take that down now, Ivan. I'm just going to run through some of the post-game quotes. Thank you. From Sarri. He said that they asked him about gameplay. He said, I think we played really well and we were in total control. In fact, he said after the game there was some bitterness in the dressing room about winning it by only 2-1. When he was asked about Dybala not starting, he did mention, as we did cover, the fact about his back injury. And in the 5-man defense, he said, I put Rugani on. I already went through that quote, and he talked about he wanted to counter Lazio's physicality. We only need to make 4 points, he said, and there's nothing banal about that. That's the only thing that we have to think about, not Champions League. I'm so glad nobody brought that up. And when he asked about Conte's words, he said, I didn't read Conte's words because sincerely, I don't think about him at all. Now, I'm going to leave you guys with one last quote Now, Juventus has been coming back from 3 winless games, which I think the last time that happened was in that big hiccup season that we had it with Allegri when we started really flat. So this is something that is how Juventus fans are, really. And I see it in today's turnout and the smiling faces, and as opposed to the long faces that we had in the Sassuolo meetup. So this quote's for you guys and for all of you guys who are watching this video. Juventus is adored by fans who are jealous of her. Watch her every step, know her virtues, but are ready to reproach impetuously her slightest defects. Compel her to be beautiful and forever young despite her age. They criticize when she disappoints, but they fall on their knees when, right after the adultery of defeat, she returns to them with a victory. In short, Juventus is a woman, lover and mother all at once. She is Venus that sometimes cuckolds you, and at the same time the ever-virgin Madonna, pagan and Catholic at the same time. Good evening, everyone. Forza Juve fino alla fine.